Hey, what's up guys? It's Matt and I'm back here on the couch. So I guess, I don't really have anything particularly planned for this video. It's just my first time back on the couch with my home camera here, not my ghetto recording in the car with me holding my phone. And basically just I guess more of a long-term organized update to where I'm at so far. So it's my last semester. The end of this week will be basically my halfway point. So next week is spring break, and then after that I start my specialty rotation. So Tuesday was my official last day of NICU and PICU. So what I'll say in terms of what I felt or what I liked, I really did like NICU and PICU. NICU and PICU were just absolutely amazing. I was kind of up in the air about how I'd feel about it ultimately and long term, but I absolutely loved working with the little kids and babies, and basically the culture of those departments, how closely those therapists work with their nurses, how closely they work with their the physicians on the floor too. And just this last week I got to see some pretty cool stuff. We had one little kid who was on ECMO actually, and I got a chance to watch the circuit exchange. So it had been a long-term ECMO, and so they were changing out the circuitry, and to see a perfusionist there basically prepping all of the stuff, and not just switching out the lines, but they physically switch out the entire machine with brand new circuits. And so it's like a CT surgeon, the attending, the perfusionist, kind of a big deal for something that only takes basically a minute. But so that was really cool. So it was just really awesome to see all of those different people, different professionals working together and making something happen. And NICU PICU was all about that, I guess. It's the only thing I could think to say, be it the cluster care with nurses in NICU, or just the really tight-knit communication between the physicians, the nurses, and the RTs in PICU. So that's as far as clinical goes. So now to classroom stuff. So for the first time in the program, I honestly felt the stress and the uncertainty of a particular subject, I guess. And seeing as how much I felt like I really loved NICU and PICU as far as the clinical side went, I had not my first two exams, I guess, so it's my second set of exams in both my classes, both my advanced disease class and my specialty therapeutic class, which is they're both currently focusing on neonate and pediatric stuff. I didn't do very well. As a matter of fact, I actually did basically the worst I've ever done on any exam that I actually studied for. And I didn't really know how to feel about it. It made me feel like I said, for the first time in this program, that it was out of my control, it was out of my grasp. Both of these tests I studied for, yet I barely passed both of them. So one was last Thursday and one was last Friday, and I was literally on the edge of failing. I got the lowest scores possible that were still passing. And that's the first time it's ever happened to me throughout my entire program. And I'm sure it is a collection of things. I guess it's one thing I do need to admit, that there was some complacency there, not to be confused with me feeling a little big-headed, but just me basically feeling like I was comfortable in that sense, probably a little too comfortable, I guess. And I still studied for them, but maybe not as much as I should have. In my defense, I had a lot of stuff going on, so it's kind of been the theme of my last probably 5 videos now, that my kids have been sick on and off, and it has been no different since my last video posted. My daughter got really sick, actually, and was really sick for what I feel like was close to 2 weeks, which is beyond what she normally had been dealing with as far as like ear infections, all that stuff had been going. So I felt like I missed some crucial time in class, which didn't help me, because a part of my study strategies and my learning strategies involve me being in class. Like, you have to be in class for that initial exposure, because the way I tend to study relies on that being the primary exposure to something, and then everything else is reinforcement. So when I miss a lecture or two, and then the first time I'm seeing some material is when I'm going through and studying it, it's almost like I have to do twice as much work outside of class, which I didn't do. So very well could have contributed to my poor performance. And the fact that I've said in the past, and I have another video about it, is that, this material isn't easy. It's very challenging. The programs are challenging as a whole, and the material's not really easy. It's not my best material either. A lot of what you do at least in my program, in these NICU, PICU stuff, is not critical thinking type stuff. It's a lot of recall. And I don't know if I've ever ranted, or I'm sure I have in my past videos, but when there's recall application analysis questions, recall is actually my worst. As far as the types of questions, that's where I perform the worst. It's just stuff that's like brute memorized, and like sometimes I feel like they can be very arbitrary. Recall, sometimes I cast off, so it's kind of a personal thing too, is I cast some stuff off as not being as important as other things. So a lot of this stuff, as far as fetal development and those sections go, is a lot of recall. There's not a whole lot of critical thinking involved. When you're taking an exam on that kind of things, you look at it and you either know it or you don't. There's no thinking about, was that value normal, or is there a possibility that if I correct this carbon dioxide issue, the oxidation issue will correct itself? It's nothing like that. There's no critical thinking. There's no step-by-step thing. It's that you either know it or you don't. And obviously I didn't study enough to know some of this. So I do really struggle with some recall type questions. Ultimately, in this final semester, it's a huge issue of balancing studying for the material that you still have to learn, and then also studying the material and really getting your study time in for your board exams. You shouldn't be waiting till you graduate to start studying for your exams. But at the same time, you have to pass the program you're in order to even qualify to take the test that you're trying to study for simultaneously. So it's a struggle, and it's trying to find a balance between your NBRC study time for your TMC and your ClinSims, and then also studying and passing all of your class material. Now, the good news is I didn't fail anything, but I'm certainly not comfortable where I am right now. I've spent the majority of my time in my program kind of sitting on the top. 4.0 GPA, all that braggable nonsense, which I know ultimately doesn't mean anything, but is more of a personal thing. And then feeling this uncomfortable and that feeling of struggle is certainly new for me. I think it's okay to be a little human, I guess. So it's just kind of overcoming some of that, and if ultimately getting B's, it means I'm still putting in study time for my NBRC, then so be it. I guess now that things are starting to calm down a little bit, my daughter's healthy again, not having to go to urgent care and not doctor's appointments and all this, at least for the next month. Cross some fingers on that. I'm hoping to kind of get back in routine. So with spring break coming up next week, I'm trying to get together a routine where I'm balancing not just my classwork and making sure I'm studying the material I have and getting it all knocked out properly, but also a kind of steady regiment for my MBRC stuff. So I think right now my plan of action is to try to plan to do 25 practice TMC questions, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're doing 25 a day, that adds up pretty quick. I mean, that's what, 175 questions, give or take, a week, which I think the TMC's not really been my struggle. So I think that's a fairly steady, I should get a, if I'm doing random questions, I should get a good mix of kind of content. And then, I can always still look at how I'm doing in certain areas and then focus study on those places. And then I still am actually required, so we use Lindsey Jones University, and there's like 36 or 38 or however many ClinSims available on there, and I'm still required to pass all of those by the end of the semester. And if I've passed any, they were basically being carried over from when we first got access. So as far as I'm concerned, I have at least 30, if not more, that I have to still pass in the testing mode. So finding time to do that, as well as effectively studying those. You can't just keep trying ClinSims and failing and then being like, oh, okay, you can't just redo the same sim. It doesn't have value if you do it immediately again, I feel like, because if you, especially in like a sort of a teaching or tutorial mode where it gives you the answers, that doesn't do you very much good. So I still got to find time to knock all those out. So I'm hoping to start, a consistent, if I can do 1 or 2 a day and pass them. So that means spending quality time going through like a teaching mode, maybe really reading the rationales for why some things are right or wrong, and then going through and doing them in testing mode, and just making sure I understand, it's not about just going through a mode that gives you the answers so you know the answers are and then getting them right, but it's understanding why these answers are right or wrong, and spending time. So I mean, if I can do 1 or 2 of those a day with 25 TMC practice questions a day, I think that's pretty solid to get me to the end semester. So my official pinning day is like May 11th. So it's March 7th as I'm recording this right now. So I think that's plenty of time to get all my ClinSims done. That's going to be a lot of practice questions as far as TMC goes. And I think still sitting down time to, not just procrastinating like I usually have on my study habits for the exams. It still gives me time to sit down and try a little harder, I guess, as far as studying for my class material. I would very much like to graduate with a 4.0 from this program. However, it's not the end of the world if I don't. I try not to beat myself up too much about not doing as well in exams. At the same time, I find myself making a lot of excuses to myself about things. And really, at the end of the day, you're in control. I'm in control of how I do. You're in control of how you do, barring any extreme circumstances. So it's just about buckling down, finding a new balance. That anyone who's not in their last semester, be it a traditional like 4 or 5 semester program like me, or non-traditional, it doesn't matter. When you're coming down to like the end of your time, you really are balancing. You should be studying for your boards, but you still have to have passing grades for all the last final material you're doing. Finding a balance is very important, and so that's currently the journey I'm going on. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna cut it off here. Again, sorry it's been so long since we've been back here on the couch with the dogs and everything. I did get some new video editing software too, so this is gonna be my first video actually in that. I'll see if I can tighten things up even more than I have in the past. It's actually legitimate like stuff. It's not just like Windows Movie Maker type stuff. So hopefully I can make the production value a little bit better on these guys too. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. I've had a bunch of new subscribers, a handful of comments, guys. Thank you so much. Just because YouTube changed doesn't mean I am. The ads and things before, I mean, I just did it because I could. Now that I lost that capability, guys, I'm still here making videos. So don't think that I'm going to stop just because all that nonsense stopped. YouTube does their thing. I'm gonna do me, and I'm here for you guys. So thanks so much for all my new subscribers, all my old subscribers, everyone who comments, likes the videos, guys. I'm gonna do my best to find a balance here, and then keep making content and stuff for you guys. So take it easy, guys. Have a great week, and I hope everyone's doing well so far this semester. So take it easy. I'll talk to you guys soon.